watching Twin Tiers Evening News with Jeff Androlonis and Alexa Olson. Now, from the Twin Tiers' biggest broadcast news operation, WVTT proudly presents Twin Tiers Evening News.
Good evening, I'm Alexa Olson.
And I'm Jeff Androlonis. Good evening. The big story tonight on Twin Tiers Evening News. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo's controversial gun control bill has sparked backlash across the country. Tonight, WVTT talked to one local man who is speaking out. He says he survived the Holocaust, and one experience in particular convinced him of the value of the U.S. Constitution's Second Amendment. With more on this story, let's go to WVTT's Valerie Tysaner, who was in Olean earlier today.
And as I'm dancing around, you know how boys, like ta-da, ta-da, ta-da. I hear a commotion across the street, so what do? You stop. Woo! You go like, what's going on there? There's a German soldier, or a German officer actually. He had that swanky hat, and there's a man and a woman who were arm in arm, and there's loud discussion of some sort, and all of a sudden I see this German do this, and he shot the guy right in the head. It's a horrible thing when, whether it's a foreign government or your own government, takes over.
You may have some good and decent people in charge, but there still had to be safeguards against tyranny, because you can always be assured that you'll have good and decent people in charge. And since you may end up with a sour apple, you need to have those legal safeguards in place. And the ultimate safeguard is an armed electorate.
The outrage comes as proponents and opponents of the New York Safe Bill rally across New York. But Governor Andrew Cuomo argues the safety of United States citizens must take precedence.
Gun violence has been on a rampage, as we know firsthand and we know painfully. We must stop the madness, my friends.
In Olean, Valerie Tysaner, WVTT News.
Thanks, Val. And for more on Hank's story, you can visit our website. That's WVTTnews.com. Alexa?
Well, Jeff, the Dull Tile plant, which closed down and sacrificed 174 jobs in the past months, might see new life again. The Cattaraugus County Industrial Authority says they're in talks with a few outside companies interested in putting in an installation at the vacant plant. Officials are tight-lipped about which companies they are in talks with at this point, but it does seem to indicate good things may be on the way.
An 8-year-old boy is going to be all right after he fell off the ski lift at Holiday Valley in Ellicottville. Officials say he was flown by Mercy Flight after the fall. He reportedly suffered a back injury but appears to be okay, and that's good news tonight. A comedy troupe from Salamanca is headed to Los Angeles to compete for a reality show.
Now looky over here, right? Looks like some ordinary Christmas ornaments. But watch this. Wada bing, wada boom. Now if he comes through this window, his feet gonna get all caught up.
What if he's wearing shoes?
What, you a moron or something? You don't watch the Home Alone movie?
The group goes by the moniker Extremely White Comedy. They're competing for a slot as part of the Internet Icon Competition, a YouTube-based reality show. The group, featuring Salamanca natives Mike Barrick, Jake Robinson, and Jason Knapp, they do improv and stand-up comedy, and they're hoping to raise enough funds to pay for their trip to La La Land.
U.S. Congressman Tom Reed says that a new bill is in the works. That's going to make a lasting impact on jobs. Now, he says the legislation will streamline and combine several duplicate agencies that focus on workforce development.
The bill that's coming up this week that we're very interested in seeing pass the House is the Supporting Knowledge and Investing in Lifelong Skills, the so-called Skills Act. I'm confident it's going to pass the House this upcoming week. And what it does is it takes the regulatory framework that is our workforce development program out of Washington, D.C., streamlines it, cuts excessive regulation, essentially streamlines 35 ineffective and duplicative programs by removing those programs in the workforce development framework.
Reed says the bill will hopefully make its way out of the House today and then go before the Senate. He's hoping the president will support the bill as well.
The president did note in the 2012 State of the Union that he would like to cut through the maze of confusing job training programs, was his quote. And now here we are a year out, and here's a bill originating in the House, the Skills Act, that I think is right up there, ripe for the president to reach out and grab.
As that blanket of snow peels back and reveals dead grasses left over from last autumn, it also reveals an annual danger: wildfires. Local fire officials tell WVTT that for the next few weeks, until the new spring growth comes up, those dead grasses are just a tinderbox waiting to spark. Officials urge caution with dealing with open flame outside and also when disposing of lit cigarettes.
U.S. Senator Charles Schumer is asking the TSA to take it back. Their recent announcement that small knives will be allowed on planes. They've been banned since the hijacking of planes on September 11th, and Schumer says while the small knives might not pose a threat to pilots who are now safely locked in the cockpit, they do pose a threat to other flight crew. Stay tuned for the next half hour. We have some local reaction to the TSA's recent decision. Jeff?
And Alexa, part of that local reaction involves officials from W.R. Case & Sons Cutlery in Bradford. They make knives, and they're on the opposite side of the fence from Senator Schumer. They're applauding the TSA's decision. They say it's going to make it easier for them to do business. The new rules are set to go into effect April 25th.
A Stroman's bread truck involved in a crash on Friday afternoon. According to police in Olean, the truck, driven by Ralph James, was making a wide turn into the McDonald's parking lot when he struck another vehicle. No one was cited in that crash. Jeff?
Potter County is hosting a documentary premiere. The Coudersport Theater was filled to capacity to see the Triple Divide documentary, made by former Potter County resident Melissa Troutman, a longtime opponent of hydrofracking. Triple Divide delves into the perceived environmental and quality of life concerns surrounding the controversial natural gas mining technique in Potter County, home of the only Triple Divide watershed east of the Mississippi. And that Triple Divide means that a single raindrop could flow in 3 different directions: into the St. Lawrence Seaway, into the Ohio River Valley, and eastward into the Susquehanna River and down into the Chesapeake Bay.
Last week, we told you on WVTT News that chronic wasting disease has been discovered in wild deer in Pennsylvania. Representative Marty Causer spoke with WVTT, and he says that the Game Commission is stepping up to respond to this disease.
The Game Commission is working along with the Department of Agriculture with a task force that they have to gather necessary information and plan out a strategy of how to deal with this particular issue. The Game and Fisheries Committee will also be carefully monitoring the situation and be looking at what strategies can be enacted going forward.
Felt like I was in school answering that Triple Divide question, Alexa. Meanwhile, coming up, still lots of news on Twin Tiers Evening News. Straight ahead, the very latest weather forecast as we take our first look at WVTT weather. I'll have our information overload segment coming up, and also we'll take a look at the closing numbers on Wall Street. All coming up here on News Channel 25 WVTT.